Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Signature Sales Meeting. Super excited to have you all here. Who here has heard of Election Day? Who's here excited about Election Day? Can I tell you an election joke? Would that be okay? That's all right. It's good enough to tell you. So a very well-renowned senator dies and goes to heaven. And he gets to heaven and he meets St. Peter and he's standing at the pearly gates. And St. Peter says, well, Senator, you've had an amazing life, but we really can't tell whether you should go to heaven or you should go to hell. And so what we'd like to do, with your permission, is we'd like to give you a day in each so you can experience it and then let us know what you'd like to do. And so he says, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So St. Peter takes him over the elevator and he goes down to hell and he's sitting there and you get doors open and it's a beautiful golf course. And all of his friends are there and congressmen and senators and presidents and they're sipping champagne and they're having this huge buffet and there's the devil standing over there talking to everybody and just the nicest guy you've ever met, right? And so they play a round of golf and they have an amazing dinner and the day's over and he goes back up to heaven and sees St. Peter and St. Peter says, okay, it's now time for you to experience heaven. And so he opens the pearly gates and they're sitting on clouds and they're floating around in the universe and just this heavenly music and all these wonderful things and this glow of light and everything else. And then the day's over. St. Peter goes back to the senator. Senator, what do you think? And he goes, heaven was amazing, but all of my friends and the amazing golf course and all, I think I've got to go with hell. And he says, okay. So they go down the elevator and the doors open and it's this barren wasteland. And all of his senators and friends are all dressed in rags and crying and it's just horrific. And the devil comes over and the senator says, I don't understand. I was here yesterday and it was amazing. He says, yesterday we were campaigning and today you voted. It's good jokes like that that keep me going every day. So we've got a great sales meeting planned for you today. We have Todd Barton talking about the numbers for your business plan. But before we do that, do we have any new wants and needs going on in the marketplace anyone wants to talk about? And I have one up front that I already know about. Go ahead and tell us all about it. Turn back to the camera just to the group so they can see you.
Hi, my name is Paul Conrad. I'm selling squares as a fundraiser to help me raise money for my upcoming baseball tournament in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm selling squares number 1 through 100. The number on each square is the dollar amount that the squares cost. After all squares are sold, a random number will be selected. The person who purchased that square will win 4 tickets to the Nighthawks Arena football game. All donations are tax deductible and 100% of the profits of this fundraiser will go directly to the NSA Stars 11 baseball team. Would you be willing to support my team and purchase a square?
Let's give him a round of applause. So we're going to do this. I love that he took advantage of the wants and needs. That's exactly how an entrepreneur should do it. So we're gonna get you set up for squares for anyone that wants to buy one. We'll figure out how to do that. They'll be here for the meeting. Anyone at home that wants to do it, we'll figure that out too. They can definitely reach out to Erica and figure out how to take a square and take care of it. But let's give him another round of applause. His team is going to the game. All right, any of you have any boring listings or buyer wants and needs that you want to talk about now? Any listings at all?
I got one.
Okay. Oh, you bring your kid now, you can take the stage.
Okay, all right. I am going to list a 3-bedroom with a little loft in Entrada. It's got a great backyard, and we're going $485. So
Nice.
I think it's pretty reasonable.
That's great.
Yeah, it'll hit the market on Monday.
Very cool. Awesome. I'm going to tell you my two right now. I have 2 brand new homes. One has been slightly lived in for about 3 months. The other has never been lived in. They're at the end of Providence. They're 1,500 square feet each. They're townhomes. They have full strip views, unobstructed views of the valley because they sit right above the 215. Both are for rent right now for $2,200 a month. So if you have anyone looking for something like that in that location, I have 2 of them, not just 1, but 2. So you can live next door to your family without having to live with your family. Yeah. They will consider a pet, a small one, like a parakeet. Or fish, yeah.
Thank you. I have a house up in Aliante. It is a bit of a drive up, but it is a 4-bedroom, 2 full bath house at $439,999.
Nice.
Okay, a single story, gated community. The HOA dues are $80 a month. And it's just a lovely house. They've spent about $10,000 in landscaping around the house, and so it's a lovely house, but it's reasonably priced home also.
Very cool. Anybody else? Todd?
4-bedroom, 3-bath, single story on a half-acre, custom home. It's on Man Street, which is like Russell and 215 and Rainbow and Jones. It's in that little square there. They just literally spent $100,000 in an outdoor kitchen. There's a brand new Italian from Italy pizza oven that's never even been used. And it's on the market for $950. It's a great property, tons of RV parking, it's got a pool, it's got everything you want in that custom half-acre. Only taking offers today. Is it Italian or Italian?
Is it Italy or Italy? So it's
I don't
Italian.
know, is this elementary school or is this a...
Somebody on the right side of the room is a little temperamental.
In that case, it's Italian thing, that's the one.
Okay, any other ones that I missed? Yes. Oh, wait, that won't work. Just shopping there.
I have, what is it? Three bedrooms, 2.5 bath, house in the east side. I'm thinking, Nellis and Lakeview, sorry, my brain is a little fried today. We're 20 days on the market already, so. It's listed for $300,000, gated community, beautiful house,
How big?
raised for investments, 1,100 square feet, but, yeah, but it's a cute little upgraded house for like an investment or any like people that want to stop renting. What is that called? Starter home.
You gotta give me more.
I'm sorry, starter home, it's just my brain. But it's still out there, so let me know if anybody is interested. Okay?
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so, next up, who's talking from Prosperity? Tony! Tony from Prosperity. Give Tony a round of applause. There's only so much we can do now, Tony. Here you go.
Tell them your Churchill joke.
Yeah, no.
I only sell out once a day. Good morning. Interest rates are the topic du jour, if you like. So just the latest on interest rates. The Fed, as I'm sure we're all well aware, announced a 0.75 point increase in the minimum lending rate just last week. And they are anticipated to go higher next month, either 0.5 point or 0.75 point, depending on who you listen to. It doesn't mean that rates will automatically adjust. I know we've discussed this previously. In anticipation of the changes, often investors will adjust their rates accordingly, okay, ahead of time. And I'll give you an example. I checked on this just yesterday. I locked a rate last week before the rate increase. Great loan, jumbo loan, 6.625. And the same loan yesterday, the same scenario, pretty much the same. Slight credit last week, slight cost now, but very, very little change. So often these adjustments are written into the rates. So when someone quotes you a rate, and I hate to quote rates because, as you all know, there's many other factors that go into that, but it's usually pretty much spot on. I think there's too much made of rates and the sky's falling mentality. I really do. I know we've talked about the buy down, potential for a buy down, which is a good tool, especially if properties are not moving. I've got an average price here in the valley, probably within a few thousand, depending on, again, which numbers you use, of 429. So let's just say we have with a 5% down, we're looking at about 411. Okay, well, thereabouts. Principal interest, 2734 at 7%, down to 2464, a difference of about 270. I'm not saying that's insignificant, but obviously with a 1% credit, which is more than $4,000 in that particular scenario, you can bridge that 270 for almost 2 years, the best part of a year and a half. Okay? Again, the buy down's in place, as you all know, 321 can make the payment. If the final rate is 7%, Now, the payment would be $1,962. Big difference, obviously, in the monthly payment. Okay? With a 3-year option to refinance, obviously. What does this all mean? What does this all mean, and how can we package it, if that's the right word, so that the information is meaningful to the borrowers and they can use it? Here's a couple of pointers. Talk to them, pay down debt. Average credit card debt currently 18.73%. Okay. Consolidate debts, credit cards obviously, student loans, that's a popular one. I had somebody call me about this very subject just yesterday actually, talking about consolidating debt. Boost emergency savings if possible, short-term CDs, money market funds, treasury bills, high yield savings account, they're all good options for a return on investment currently, not to stress. And then recession-proof your finances. Put off large ticket items, live within your means, stay connected with your network, and identify your risk tolerance. Okay? Even if clients are not able to act on these now, you're providing something of value to them. It's valuable information. And my philosophy, and I work my CRM just like I'm sure you all do, is if they hear from me now, they're more likely to go with me in a few months' time, or maybe a little bit longer than that, when they're looking to buy or refinance, or sell in your case. So, and then they've got 20 realtors across beating their door down. Okay? So it does make a difference. I'm sure if we can provide that value, other acts on it now, but they do appreciate the feedback. And then one other thing, just came across my desk just this morning actually, and it is somewhat related to what I'm talking about. 48% of salespeople never follow up with the prospects. It's almost a half. I'm not going to give you all these stats, but they're pretty stark. 25% never make a second contact and stuff. Okay? Only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Obviously, you can see what I'm getting at here. You've got to stay in touch, you've got to work your CRM, you've got to stay in touch with people. 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact, 80% of sales, 4 out of every 5 are made on the 5th to 12th contact. That's a pretty crazy number, but I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, yeah? So, hopefully, again, something of value there. Again, how you package the information and get it to your borrowers, that's the key. But I think there is value in that, and obviously, I will follow up with my CRM along those lines. Okay? Come on, England.
Come on.
Any questions? Anyone? Okay.
Questions for Tony? Give Tony a round of applause. Thank you, Tony.
World Cup in 12 days.
World Cup in 12 days. Okay, a couple of announcements. So if you guys didn't know, a big chunk of our management team is heading off for Orlando to see a tropical storm. That's funny because I'm not going. But they're heading off to the NAR convention. It should be an amazing time full of great information that they'll definitely bring back. Todd, myself, Vandana will be here. You can definitely still get anybody you need in the app. I'm sure that they would welcome some communication from you. But if you need anything, I definitely will be here available and with everyone else that I just mentioned. So with that being said, we have our business planning series. And so last week I talked about 55 ways for you to get business the old-fashioned way, different ways that you could generate clients and things like that. Todd today is talking about the numbers and the things you need to know to focus on your business plan. And so let's give Todd a round of applause. I didn't say thunderous, I just said round of applause. That was close.
Gee, thanks, Chris. So let me ask a question. How many of you know how many listings you need to sell next year to reach your goals?
A lot.
A lot. Okay. A lot. I looked on the number line before I came because I knew I was going to get that answer, and guess what? A lot's not on there. So we need to figure out what a number is, right? Because does anybody here have goals for next year? Have you started thinking about your goals? Have you started thinking about what you would like to do, whether it's number of sales or how much money I want to put or how much time I want to spend on real estate compared to my personal life? It's all goal, it's all numbers based. And by the way, if you've ever set any goals in your life, what have you always done? Say again? Write them down. Okay, that's absolutely right. You got to write them down. How do we know when we met a goal or not?
We celebrate, all right? That's what we do after we realize we've met it, but how do we know we've met the goal? All right, let me ask just a really personal question. Ready? Angela, you ready? This is for you. No, I'm just kidding. Who in here wants to lose weight next year? All right, so there's a few, right? When will you know when you met your weight loss goal? Like, is your goal to lose weight? Why do you want to lose weight, by the way? Why does anybody ever want to lose weight?
So your clothes fit better.
So my clothes fit better, okay? Good. Health? Okay, so let me ask Kate Sherry. If your clothes fit better, when will you know when your clothes fit better? Is that from my perspective? Do I get to look at you and go, yeah, keep working on it, honey? Or do you get to look in the mirror and go, yes, this is where I want to be? You don't need to answer that. I'm not trying to get a fight, and we can fight later if you want. I'm just trying to make a point that if your goal is to look better in your clothes, when will you know you met that goal? If I'm going to lose weight, I want to lose weight because I want to feel better. Can we all agree that if we lose weight, that we will feel better? Well, when do we know when we feel better? By whose judgment? Your own personal?
Set a target weight and when you need it.
Okay, so when you set a target date, sorry. See, even I'm trying to get off the weight loss thing, so I don't even want to talk about it, but it's the one subject that everybody perks up and goes, wait, what? Did he just say that? You set a goal. What's your goal? Not personally.
Lose 20 pounds.
Okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. So what do you have to do?
You have to track the progress.
I have to know what I weigh today. And then I get to know what I reach my goal of 20 pounds. I'll know that I reached my goal. The point is, any goal that you set in your real estate business, in your life, for your kids, for your family, for anything that you do, it has to be numbers based. You can't just say, I want to feel better. Great. There's drugs for that. That's not going to help you, right? It's numbers based. And so none of you woke up today and went, oh my gosh, I want to talk about numbers, right? It's boring. It's not fun. It's monotonous. But the bottom line is at some point for your business in 2023, you need to talk about your numbers. So that's what we're going to do today. Everybody's got this in front of them. And if you're at home, this is in the chat. You can go print this really quick so that you can have this in front of you to write this down. This is just going to be like old school math class. We're going to fill in the blanks. We're going to talk about each blank. And then at the end of this, you're going to be able to tell me what your number goal is for how many listing appointments you're going to go on next year and how many buyer appointments you're going to go on next year. And if you know those two things, you can then decide how you're going to attack that through the 55 things that Chris shared last week. Right? We know what numbers we need to reach, and we know how to do that, and then you can set your goals and you can move forward. Any questions? I'm going to try to make this as entertaining as possible. I'm not a very entertaining person, I understand, but we're going to do these numbers. Are we ready? All right. How much money do you want to make next year? When I say how much, this is the net number at the top. This is before taxes. And we can even do it before expenses. Like, how much money do you want to put in your bank account next year? Left over at the end, after everything, I'm just going to put in however much money it's going to be. I'll give you 30 seconds to think about that. And you're going to write that in the top yellow box. Top of the page. All right, so that wasn't 30 seconds, but I'm impatient. So, let's talk about that. Does anybody feel very confident about the number they wrote? Like, does anybody feel like this number is 100% the only number that I'm willing to shoot for? And they're confident enough they'll have a conversation with me about it right now in front of everybody. All right, Erica, do you want to share your number? You don't have to share it.
I don't make sure.
All right, so share your number.
250,000.
250,000 in your pocket, said and done, over and done. Now let's point out, Erica 2 years ago was the #1 agent at Signature, right? Yeah, you got that award. I was there. We announced your name wrong, all that good stuff, but you were the one. You want to tell us how much you made that year?
407.
470,000. All right, so a $250,000 goal for Erica isn't a bad number, okay? And that's going to be my point is, be careful what number you pick. Let me ask you a question. 250 grand, it's a big number,
Yeah, it is.
a lot of work. You got baseball games to go to?
Yeah.
I know he's not your only child playing baseball. I watch him on Facebook. You guys won a bunch of tournaments, by the way, congratulations. You, 250. So let me be clear.
That is my net.
Okay, that's your net. Let me be clear though. At the end of 2023, when we roll into Christmas time of 2023, and you don't make $250,000, are you getting out of real estate? No. Okay, are you sure that it's 250 then?
Yeah.
Let me ask all of you this question. The number that you wrote down, if you don't make that much money, are you leaving real estate the next year? Are you turning your license in? And are you sure that's really what your goal is? Are you sure it might be? What if it was a little bit less than that? Does anybody have the goal of 100,000 written? If you want to just raise your hand. All right, we got one in the back. I won't say who it is. Because if you guys didn't see this, you don't need to know. Oh, gave it away. Well, you got 5 to pick from now. Let me ask you a question on the back row, Mrs. 100 grand. If I wrote you a check today for $55,000 and you could cash it today, and I guaranteed you $55,000 of income in 2023, and the only thing you had to do was show up at my office for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you could keep the 55. If you made more than 55, you could keep that as well. If you made less than 55, you wouldn't have to reimburse me. Would you do it? You don't have to speak out loud if you don't want.
What are we gonna do for the 4 hours?
Well, it doesn't matter. You're gonna do real estate based stuff. It's not baked goods. You're not having a bake sale, right? You're gonna do 1 or 2 of the 55 things Chris mentioned last week. That's what you're gonna be doing. All real estate based activities. Now, if you had 100,000 written down and somebody guaranteed you $55,000, would you do it? Would you take the 55 grand, show up for work 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and be good? I'm not saying, I don't care what your answer is, yes or no, I don't know what it is, but I would have you question the number you wrote down, because if that number isn't the number that's going to cause you to get out of the business, then that may not be what you have to make next year. Because there's a difference between what I have to make and what I need to make. Can we agree on that? Okay.
Well, so are you saying like our goal of what we're trying to go for, or like the minimum we would have to make in order to stay in real estate?
Thank you. That's my exact point. My point is if you don't have 2 pieces of paper in front of you, and you don't have 2 different numbers written in the yellow box, you might be cheating yourself. That's all. I'm not saying the number you wrote down is a bad number or a good number. I don't know. That's your number. It's not. I have my number right here, by the way. Okay? I have mine. It's all filled out. Can you agree it's all filled out?
Yeah.
I've got all the answers. I know exactly what I have to do next year to do what I want to make. And by the way, this is what I want to make. This isn't what I need to make to stay in the business. And I think depending on where you are in this business, it depends on which one of those you should pay the most attention to. Let me ask you this. Did you do enough real estate deals this year? I'm going to say yes, because guess what? You're all still sitting here. If you hadn't done enough deals, you'd be doing what? Doing a job. Guys, this is a job, by the way, but I'll play it off. Yeah, a different job, right? One where you have to show up for 8, 16 hours, whatever it is, and the guy guarantees you the payment, you get the money. That's what you have to do, right? So how much you need to make and how much you want to make are 2 different numbers, and I would encourage you to get a second piece of paper and do both of those numbers. If I don't make $30,000 in my pocket next year, I'm going to go find something else to do. I don't think that's an unreasonable concept to think about. Now, I want you to set your goals high, I want you to aim high, I want you to work hard, to do all of those things, but I also don't want you to get overwhelmed. And overwhelmed is what you will get if your goals are substantially higher. I'll give you some general rule of thumbs. Whatever you did this year, 2022, if you triple that in 2023, you hit a grand slam home run. If you can triple the amount of business that you did this year, next year, that's a grand slam. So how many times does anybody else watch baseball? It's kind of my passion in life, okay? How many people hit a grand slam? How many? How often does that happen? It's a big number, right? Like almost everybody hits a grand slam. No, nobody hits grand slams, right? There's a lot of moves that have to align to even get a chance at one. And then whether you hit it or not when you get the chance is a whole other question. So when I tell you it's a grand slam, I'm telling you that you should look at what you did this year, and if you tripled that next year, it's the holy grail. All right? Now, if you could double what you did, that'd be really good. That'd be fun, right? How would that change your life? If you could double what you did this year, how would that change your life? Think about that. Financially, financial freedom, personal freedom, all those things. Okay, so everybody has a number down now that I've beat you all down to, I don't want to do this anymore, this guy sucks, I don't want to hear this. Here's the bottom line. Whatever number you have is your number, and I want you to buy into that number. I want you to work like there's no other number in your life. This number that you have written, whatever it is in that top line, it should literally be posted every single place that you look every single day. Does anybody have a mirror in their bathroom? Does anybody have any lipstick? Guys, stop and get some lipstick. Write it on the mirror in your bathroom. Every morning when you go in the bathroom, you're going to see that number written on your board. It should be your screensaver on your phone. I have grandkids on my screensaver on my phone, or my grandkids, and across that is a number. Everybody goes, what the hell is that? Don't worry about it. That's mine. That's for me. All of this is for me. Because that's what's important to me, is I've got to make that number, okay? So your number has to exist in your life, not just on this piece of paper today, but it has to be in your life for all of 2023. Post it in your car. Post it on your computer. On your mirror. On the shower. I don't care where you put it, but put it everywhere. Okay? Fair? Any questions? Okay. So now let's talk about expenses. Remember, we're going to try to figure out how many appointments you got to go on. So what is your expense? Does anybody know what their expenses are in their business every year? Do you track that? Okay, so I'm seeing some yeses, I'm seeing some deer in the headlight looks, right? Let me just tell you that you should be tracking your expenses. If you haven't, it's okay, use 30%. So 30% of the number at the top, whatever that is. If it's 100,000, then that would be 30,000, right? So do the math, you got your calculators out. Whatever your number is, if you don't know what your number is, use 30%. By the way, mine so far this year, is 42.5. My expenses and my cost of goods sold this year is 42.5%. Mine's a little different than some of yours. I run a team. I've got some other expenses that maybe some of you don't have. 30% is a really good solid number to use if you don't know what yours is. All right, so is everybody there? You got the big number, you've got your 30%, and then you add those together, and whatever those two equal, go in this little green slot right here. Whatever that number is. So, again, if it was 100,000 and you use 30, this number would be 130,000. It's the two yellow squares added together. You there? You ready, Lucy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought you were having a baby. All right, everybody good? Okay, now the question becomes, by the way, that's going to be your gross commission income. When people say, what's your GCI? You know what your GCI is. How much money do you want to make? That's your gross commission income. That's the total. Every check that comes to Signature that then gets transferred into your bank account, if you add all of those checks up, that's what that's going to equal. That's your gross commission income. Okay? So that's a term in real estate people hear a lot. They don't really know what it means. It just means that's how much money I made. Period. Okay, now out of that, think about your year 2022 again. Think about 2022. How many listings, how many total closings did you have? Did you have 10? Did you have 12? 18, 20, 100, whatever your number is, how many of those are buyers and how many of those are sellers? That's what we need to know.
You know,
Sure.
there is a market data on MLS. You can look it up. yourself. Do most agents know that?
So you can pull a report.
All markets, yeah, reports in market.
Yeah, you can pull a report on MLS that says exactly what deals you did, and which of those are buy sides and which of those are listing sides. Yes, you can pull it on MLS. So, does anybody want to share what their ratio is? Does anybody know what their ratio is? Did you do 40% buyers and 60% listings? What did that look like for you?
I did 28% listings and the rest buyers.
Okay, so 28% listings, so 70-30?
6, 7, 10,
Yeah, so we'll go with 70-30 for you. Does that make sense? Like, I will also tell you, kind of try to keep these numbers kind of round numbers, because when you're, like remember my expense was 42.5%, that's kind of hard to calculate, but, good thing we have calculators, right? Chris mentioned maybe I should have worn my sandals, so I use my toes to count with, but he thought it was good. I don't think it was fun. All right, whatever your number is. So, if you've done 70% buyers, and that's what you want to do for 2023, that's what goes in the red box. The percentage of the deals that you're going to do, what percent were buyers, and what percent were sellers? Everybody always asks me the same question. Well, what should it be? What should I do? What should I be aiming for? Look, I'll tell you my quick story. I'm a listing agent. You know why I'm a listing agent? Because I'm a badass, right? Because that's our attitude. But you know what? My numbers don't say that. Every year, so I think I'm a listing agent. I tell you, I only take listings, I don't work with buyers. I'm just a listing agent. I don't have time for buyers. It's too hard. It's no fun. So what would you think my ratio would be on just a listing agent? 80-20, Pareto's rule, maybe, could be. I would think it should be like 90-10. I'm a listing agent, right? I'm a 90-10. My team members will, but Todd won't. I'm a listing agent. What do you think my numbers are every year, no matter how hard I try to change them? Every single year. 60-40. Every freaking this year so far. Hold on, let me put my glasses on, because this pissed me off when I see this. I'm a listing agent, you're telling me so. So I'm a badass. 39.7% were sellers, and 50, whatever the other number is, was buyers. Crazy, right? So 60-40. So what should it be? I don't know. Mine's always 60-40. You can look back in the years and see what yours has been. But now you gotta figure that out. Whatever this number is right here, you gotta divide that by these percentages. So if this was 100,000 and it was 60-40, 40 of them were 40% were sellers, then 40% would go there. And then 60% on the buy side. Okay, everybody got that number? No.
So we have to figure out how many transactions we have to do to get to this.
No, you're looking
We're doing percentages.
percentages of whatever your normal business is year over year. Do you do more listings than you do buyers? Do you do more buyers than you do listings? What's that ratio? And that ratio is what goes in the red boxes. And then you're going to divide the green box by the red box. Whatever's here, divide it by the red box and put it right next to the red box. Chris Bishop.
I was just going to say that habitually, agents, when they do this part of it, this is really important because the things that you do every day that I was talking about on my list correlate to this in some ways because agents are creatures of habit, right? Todd is great as he wants to be a listing agent only, has a set routine that he feels really good about, and the market and everything else, and he's a creature of habit, and as he goes in and does his routine, it's amazing how no matter what he does, this will happen year after year after year, and as he goes through the different years, as he changes things into it, as he gives different roles to his team members, as he focuses on different stuff, those numbers will correlate to the activities that he actually does. And because he's only a listing agent, he lists property and buyer leads come in, and he ends up selling a lot of his own real estate, but it even hurts him more because he's selling his own listings.
It's crazy because when the people I sell homes for want to buy a home, I have to go help them buy a home, right? So that's how that happens for me. But, all right, so is everybody there now? You split up, you know what your percentages are, how many buyers and how many sellers. Questions? If anybody has a question, can we get questions like in the comments? If anybody has a question, you'll tell me. Okay. All right, so now the question becomes, what's your average commission on the listing side? So if you had to look back at all the listings that you sold this year, what's your average collected commission? 3 point what, Chris?
I'm 3.62.
Okay, 3.62, I'm 3.18 on the listing side, on sellers.
I think the market average is like 2.1 something.
Families always want discounts, it's crazy. All right, so what is yours? If you don't know, just use 3%. On the seller side, by the way, you can control your commission on the seller side much better than you can control it on the buyer side, okay? Same thing on the buy side, what's your average commission collected? What is that number? Mine this year is, someone keeps taking my glasses off, 2.8%. So on the buy side, our average is 2.8%. Okay? You got that? If you don't know your numbers, just use 3%. 3% is fine. All right, so now let's take this number, whatever your average commission is, and divide the number above it. Okay, so if this is $100,000 and this is 3%, it's $100,000 divided by 3%, not by 3. Okay? You there yet? Whatever your number is in the box next to the red square, divide that by that, whatever your average commission percentage is. Write that in the box below, next to the equal sign. Below the, it's like math. So we're going to do that both on the buy side and on the seller side. So same thing on the buy side. Take whatever your gross commission income is going to be from buyers, divide it by whatever your average commission is. If you don't know, I will tell you on the buy side, if you don't know what yours is, use 2.5%. Don't use 3% on the buy side. Unless you are only using buyer broker agreements and you're enforcing them at closing and getting the extra 0.5%. On average, what's MLS right now? I think it's right at 2.5 on the buy side. So your commission percentage on the buy side, if you don't know what yours is, mine was 2.8, use 2.5. It's dividing. Okay, so divide 100 and, divided by 2.5%. You're not putting in the percent. Your watch. Oh, there, you have percent right there. So 4.821 million. That's your volume, yeah. All right, so when you did that, did that everybody come out, that it came out to a really big number, right? So we're clear? This is not a small number, it's a really big number. This is your volume. Okay, what is that? Somebody define volume for me? What's volume in real estate?
Adding up all your sales already.
Okay, so if I add up every single $400,000 house I sold, all of that added together, the sales prices all added together is my volume. So whatever your number is here, your buyer sold volume and or your seller sold volume, that should be millions of dollars. It should be $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, depending on what your big number at the top is. Right, everybody got that? Okay, so does anybody want to share whatever those two numbers together might be, something close by? Like, what do your two add up to approximately? 4.8 million, the two together. Okay, so let me explain this in a way you might understand better. If Erica goes and finds one $5 million property, because hers adds up to 4.8 million. If she goes and finds one $5 million property, and she sells that one property next year, she will reach all of her goals. Does that make sense? She finds two $2.5 million houses, then she would reach her goals. If she found $5 million homes, she would reach her goals. If she found 10 $500,000 homes, do you get it?
Yeah.
So that's volume. It's how it's all your sales prices added together. Okay, so now you've got how much you're going to sell volume wise. So you're gonna be looking for a listing, one listing next year that matches that number. That's the easiest way, because then you just take the rest of the year off. Right? Same thing with buyers. I'm gonna find one buyer that buys one house that matches my volume, and I'm taking the rest of the year off. And I can do 2 deals. Okay, that's not realistic, so let's finish the worksheet, all right? All right, so now, average sales price. We're gonna talk about average sales price. What is your average sales price for the homes that you sell listing-wise? And what is your average sales price of the people you're buying homes for as buyers? For example, on the sales side for me, $422,250 is my average sales price for homes that we sold, that we listed. Okay, so for me, I would put $422,250 there. On the buy side, my average is $385,000 on the buy side. So I would use that $385,000 as my average sales price here. Does anybody know what the median sales price is today? There's new numbers out. Did anybody else wake up and check it first thing like Todd did? No, just Todd. 420, we have a 420 up here. Do we have anybody else? 425, 425 in the back. What do we got over here? We got hands up, please, again. 465. So June and July, I'm sorry, wait months. June, July, August. So August and September, it went from July, it was 465, dropped down to 450 in June, stayed at 450 in July. July.
Just said 420.
August. So August it was 450.
Are you talking the median or the average?
Median. 450 again in September. And October numbers came out this morning, and the new median sales price is 440. So it went down 10,000. So if you don't know your numbers, you could use something around the 440, 400-ish mark, whatever you want to use there. And I suspect that we started the year at 435. So I suspect we're going to end somewhere around 435. It's going to be kind of a wash year for people who own homes. And that's okay. It's better than giving away $2,000 a month in rent to somebody else, right? At least you maybe didn't make any money, but you didn't lose any. All right, so whatever your number is, now we're going to divide whatever your seller's sold volume is by your average sales price, and we're going to get how many closings you're going to have on the sell side. How many listings you're actually going to sell. So we're way ahead of me now because you're all looking at me like, yeah, we've already done that. 12. Okay, so 12 listings. Sold, closed, recorded at the recorder's office, checks came through the mail, all that stuff, right? You get that, that's closed. All right, how about on your buy side? 25, so you're at 25 and 12, that's 37 transactions. So next year, you're gonna do 37 deals. Good. So how many appointments do you need to go on to do 37 deals?
1,000.
Don't worry, we're gonna get there. Oh, she's good. Her percentage conversion ratios are all 100%. So she's good. All right. So everyone's done that. You've taken your average sales price on the listing side, your average sales price on the buy side. You've divided it by you've used that to divide into your volume, and you now know how many closings you're going to have next year. Yeah, we're good. It's usually not this easy. Like, no one has any questions, sir? Well, at least you're not sleeping, I guess. Okay, so then the question becomes, what's the conversion ratio from listings taken to listings closed? How many listings did you take this year that actually closed? All of them. Right? Go ahead, someone throw that out there. All of them. Well, then you don't take enough listings. That's all I'm going to tell you. We know that about 65% of the listings that you take will actually close that same year. Okay, let me ask you a question. How many of you have listings today? How many? 3? 1? Somebody else back there. 3? Okay, they're going to close this year?
God willing.
And all the moons line up, and the sun shines on the right day, and we don't know. It's called carryover. It's part of the business. Every year you're going to have listings that you take at the end of the year that carry into the next year. You don't get to backdate your numbers. You don't get deals that work like that. So they're going to carry over. That's why the number is 65% and not 100%. Because if you take is anyone going to take a listing in December? No? Yeah, we got someone that takes a full month off, good. I mean, I intend to take listings in December, and I don't expect they're gonna close in December. That doesn't numerically make sense to me. Okay, so this number is 65%. That number is 65% of the listings that you take will close. The seller signed the listing agreement, you put it on the MLS, right? This is how many of those you're gonna need. Anybody wanna share the number? You've been sharing the whole time, can't stop now. No, but you're gonna use the 65%. We're back to a normal market. So that's the other thing. Yeah, did all of your listings sell all year long? Yeah, until about July, October, August, right? Yeah, absolutely. They did in 3 days. That's changed. We're back to a little bit normal market, right? So I don't know that you're gonna have that luxury next year. How many closings are you gonna have next year?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh.
So we're doing 65%.
65%, so this conversion ratio number is 65. And so whatever your closed sides were, divide your closed sides by 65%, not the number 65. And that's gonna give you how many listings you need to take next year.
Should be like 15 something for you.
How many? 18, yeah. So for you, that's, so 12, 65, yeah. Okay, so you're gonna take 18, and 12 of those are gonna cash out. Make sense? Same thing on the buy side. That conversion ratio is also 60. That conversion ratio is 80%. So 80% of the buyer side transactions that you put under contract are gonna close. Okay, so do the math on the buy side at 80%. Conversion ratio. Okay, so how many buy sides? You get a much larger buy side number. What is it now? 30 out of 20, was it 24, 27, 25? So she's got to put 30 buyers under contract next year, right? Signed contract, buyers and sellers agreed, it goes in MLS is under contract, we open up escrow, she's got to have 30 of those for 25 of them to close. Make sense? Remember, carryover, she's going to work in December maybe, so maybe that carries over, who knows? Anybody have one fall out because of an inspection problem, or people got cold feet, or grandma said you should buy that house, or whatever, right? I mean, there's fallout in the buy side, so 80% is your number there. So where are we at now, Erica, for you? 15 and what? 15 and 18? So we're at 33, she's got to put 33 deals in contract next year. Seems reasonable to make $250,000. Okay, good. All right, so now we know how many listings you have to take. How many listings do you have to take compared to how many listings you took this year? You should ask yourself that question. Okay, I've got to take 18, Erica's got to take 18 listings next year. How many did you take this year? 20, okay? So right in line with what she did this year, totally doable. Anybody take one listing and have like the number 10 or 12 on yours? See, that's a challenge.
I was wrong. 20 was my total combined action.
Okay,
So 10.
so 10. So you're going to double what you did, just about. Good, that's a good goal, that's a good idea. Right? If you have a number, if you've done 1 or 2 this year, and you've got 10 or 12 on your sheet, remember that second sheet I told you about? Maybe go get one of those and do it a little more. Because the bottom line is, no, here's why. What are you going to do in 2023 that you didn't do in 2022 that's going to cause the change? Do you guys know the definition of insanity? What is it? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If whatever you did in 2022 resulted in 3 listings, and that's your plan for next year, guess what? You're going to get 3 listings. It's not going to change. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, so I want you to be realistic with what you did this year, and can I go take 10 listings, 12 listings, 24 listings, and if I do have to do that, because the bottom line is I'm leaving this business if I don't do this, what am I going to change? What am I going to do differently? Make sense? All right, same thing on the buy side. conversion ratio is 80, you gotta put X amount of buyers under contract to get there. Okay, so let's stay on the buy side. The next, so whatever your buy side's under contract, this next one is also 65%. So write 65% in your conversion ratio for, under the buyers under contract, and do that math. You were 18, so you're 18 divided by 65%, which should put you somewhere around, oh, you're 15. Yeah, you're right. So 15 divided by 65%. Should put you around 26, 24? 23. Okay, so you have to go on 23, what I call buyer consultations, buyer appointments. She's got to find 23 people who say, I'm thinking about buying, and they meet with her, and they get pre-qualified, and they sign the buyer broker agreement. So many times we go, oh, 23 buyers, no problem. I talk to 4 or 5 buyers a month that want to buy a house. This isn't about who wants to buy a house. This is about who's going to buy a house. Who's going to do the work to go buy a house? They're going to get pre-qualified. They're going to do what it takes to go buy a house. So she has 23 on hers. That's 65% ratio. So 23 buyer broker agreements. So can anybody do the math, how many she has to do for the next year? That's not too much, because you take vacations.
I was just saying, I'm only working 10 months.
All right, so we'll get there next. All right, so on the buy side, on the listing side, the conversion ratio on the listing side is 80%. 80%. So 80% of the listings, of the appointments that you go on, will sign with you. If I go on a listing appointment, 80% of them will sign my listing agreement. That's a national average, by the way. You could be better than that. I mean, you could be 100%, like you pointed out. Right? I don't know. I've been kicked out of a couple listing appointments. Not my fault. Probably my fault, but either way, I didn't get them all. I think I'm pretty good at it. Just ask me, I'll tell you. All right, so 80%. How many listings did you have to take? And if you do an 80% conversion ratio, this is how many listing appointments you have to go on. Now, let me be clear. These are not people that go, yeah, I'm thinking about selling, call me. Hey, can you send me what my home is worth online? Can you tell me what my home is worth? Can you just send me an email and tell me what? That's not a listing appointment. A listing appointment is one that you take 2 to 3 hours to get ready for. You pull every comp in the neighborhood. You look at every picture of every house that's ever sold around that house. It's the ones that you understand the matrix of why things are selling and what they're selling for. It's the ones that you've gone and previewed all the vacant homes around it so that you know exactly what to say when they ask all the hard questions. That's a listing appointment. Those are people, and here's the biggest key to a listing appointment in my mind. The number one most important thing to me on a listing appointment is that all of the responsible parties are present. So if you go out and meet with your girlfriend, because she said she wants to sell her house, and her husband is not there, excuse me, that was so politically incorrect, her significant other is not there, that's not a listing appointment, that's a dream, that's a hope. That's coffee with a friend. I don't know, you can call it what you want, it's not a listing appointment. Because listing appointments are to get all the necessary parties to sign my paperwork. And if one of them's not there, it's not a listing appointment. So it gets a little bit harder depending on how you classify whatever it is you're trying to do. So how many listing appointments? 22.5. Okay, when you figure out how to run half of a listing appointment, you let me know. So you're going to round that up to 25. By the way, on any of my numbers, I always round up. For example, on the buy side, I had to do 11.89 closed sides. I rounded that to 12. Right? So I always round up because these are numbers. Okay, so who wants to share how many total closings they're going to have next year? Does anybody know? How many closings? 46 closings. No, that's 46 appointments. You got to go. Yep, so you're going to do 20, what is that, 12? So she has 24 closings, And to get 24 closings, buy and sell side, she's gotta go on 48? Oh, 46, sorry. She's gotta go on 46 legitimate appointments. Is that reasonable? So you're gonna work 10 months next year, so what are you gonna do a month? 23, you got to do 2, well, 2, right? 2 a month. So 2 a month. She's gonna do 2 buyers, 2 sellers a month, 4 total. Does anyone know how many weeks are in a month? She's gonna do 1 appointment a week. See, it gets more reasonable when you start thinking about it on a monthly basis. So in each month, she's gonna have to do 4 appointments. She's gonna get 4 contracts signed, whether they're buyers or sellers. I don't know that I would kill myself if I got 4 sellers and no buyers in 1 month, that'd be fine. All right, but the point is, now you know how many you have to do each month. Now, you can look at the 55 things that Chris talked about last week and say to yourself, of these 55 things, which of these am I willing to do? Okay? It's not about which ones am I going to do, it's about which ones am I willing to do. Because if you're not willing to do it, you're not going to do it. I don't care how many times you lie to yourself, I don't care how many coaching things you go to, I don't care. If you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it, so stop fighting yourself. Pick up 5 or 6 things that you want to do, that you want to try, that you're willing to do, and let's do those. And let's see how it goes. Now, by the way, all these numbers are redoable each month. You could redo this every single month of your business based on what it is you produce. I recommend that you do it in June. Right, so let's go to June, and then we'll redo this again in June based on our numbers, based on our current results, and we'll see kind of where we are and where we track for that. Questions? Guys, all of these numbers that are on this sheet are numbers you should be tracking every single month. You should know these numbers for your business every single month. Just so that you're like, oh, the dude's just a hypocrite, he don't know what he's talking about. Here's mine. It's real. This tells me everything I need to know about my business, what my average listing, what my commissions are, how much money I make, what my cost of goods are. All the numbers I shared with you, they came out of this program. So you need to track your numbers. How you track them, that's totally up to you. Are you an Excel spreadsheet freak and you love Excel like I do? Great. You'll find a way to do it through Excel. If not, you'll simply just do it on a piece of paper. But you need to know what these numbers are, because if you don't track them at the beginning of the year, you're going to get down to October, November, and December and go, crap, looks like I'm looking for a job, but I didn't get what I want to get done. All right, so does everybody have their numbers? Anybody that didn't get to a number that doesn't make sense to them? Are all the numbers on there doable? Take that sheet. By the way, this is also in the chat, and beta. Will that be in the post when they go look at it online? Will they find this sheet there too?
Yep.
Okay, so if you go back on the YouTube channel, you watch it, you can actually get another one there, and you can play with it. I'm an Excel spreadsheet freak. I created this in Excel one day and just had it all auto-calculate, and then I could just sit and play with numbers and figure out what made sense and what didn't make sense. Okay, I don't want you to forget about our young man sitting up here. He's got some squares for sale. The ones without the X's are available for your purchase. Somebody already bought the 100? Wow. Your aunt. Nice. Aunts and uncles are great. All right, so if you guys want to come up and help out a baseball fanatic, I think that would be cool. Any questions you have, you guys can reach out to me about this. Remember that your gross commission income number, this number right here, the one in green, should be written everywhere that you are, everywhere that you are. Janice.
One thing I want to add to Todd's presentation is, I learned this the very hard way my first year in real estate. You'd be surprised how many realtors in this valley are in trouble with the IRS. So don't forget about your taxes, in addition to your expenses. Okay, we're having our Thanksgiving feast, will be Thursday, November 17th from 11:30 to 1:30. I found out this morning Green Valley's decided to do their own at their office. Well,
We were instructed to do our own, we didn't decide that, we were told to do it. So we are doing one at the same time, same day,
same
in
time,
Green Valley,
same day.
Different turkey.
different meeting.
That was funny, you'll get that one later.
Yeah, they'll get bear meat. So, please RSVP with Savannah here. This office, Southwest, will be for all the other offices. But if you want to go to Green Valley instead of coming here, you're welcome to do so.
We'll have alcohol.
We're having a martini bar. Anyway, please RSVP with Savannah for the west side of town, and RSVP, I assume, with Abby or Henderson area. Okay, thank you.
Hey, get out and vote, today's the day, get out and vote.
Yes, vote. If you don't know.
As many times as you want to. Go ahead.
Just ask me and I'll tell you.
Who should I vote for?
And don't forget